What drives a person to destroy what someone else holds dear, knowing the cost could be everything? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where picket fences and manicured lawns painted a picture of harmony, a storm was brewing. It wasn't the kind that darkened the skies, but one born of pride, spite, and a single act that would unravel lives. This is the story of Karen Whitaker, a woman whose rage led her to deface a neighbor's wall, only to face a reckoning that would strip her of far more than she ever imagined. Karen Whitaker was a fixture in Willow Creek, known for her sharp tongue and unyielding opinions. At 47, she lived alone in a pristine two-story home, her life meticulously ordered until the arrival of Javier Morales. Javier, a soft-spoken artist in his early 30s, moved into the house next door with his young daughter, Sophia. His home was modest but vibrant, its exterior adorned with a mural of blooming Karen flowers bold, white petals streaked with pink, a tribute to his late wife, Elena. The mural was more than art. It was a memory, a promise to Sophia that her mother's spirit lived on. The trouble began over something trivial, a property line dispute. Karen insisted Javier's new shed encroached on her land by a mere 6 inches. She confronted him one humid July evening, her voice slicing through the air as Sophia played nearby. "Move it, or I'll make you regret it," Karen snapped, her eyes glinting with defiance. Javier, calm but firm, promised to hire a surveyor. Unsatisfied, Karen stormed off, her resentment simmering. Days passed, and the surveyor confirmed the shed was on Javier's property. Karen, humiliated, refused to let it go. Her pride festered, fueled by late-night glasses of wine and whispered complaints to neighbors who nodded but kept their distance. She saw Javier's mural those radiant Karen flowers as a taunt, a symbol of her defeat. One moonless night, driven by a cocktail of fury and impulse, Karen grabbed a can of black spray paint from her garage. With trembling hands, she scrawled vicious words across the mural. "Get out. Fraud." The flowers, once vivid, were obliterated under jagged lines and dripping paint. The next morning, Javier stood frozen before his ruined wall, Sophia clinging to his leg, her small voice asking, "Why did someone hate Mommy's flowers?" The neighborhood buzzed with shock. Whispers pointed to Karen, whose smug silence only deepened suspicions. Javier, heartbroken but resolute, filed a police report. The act wasn't just vandalism. It was a wound to his daughter's fragile world. Enter Lila Gwynn, a retired lawyer who lived across the street. At 65, Lila was a quiet observer, her sharp mind hidden behind a gentle smile. She'd seen Karen's tirades before but never intervened until now. Lila had a secret. She'd been Elena's mentor years ago, teaching her to paint those very Karen flowers. The mural's destruction felt personal. Lila approached Javier, offering to represent him pro bono. "This isn't just about a wall," she said, her voice steady. "It's about justice for Sophia." The lawsuit was filed swiftly. Karen scoffed at first, dismissing it as a bluff. She hired a flashy attorney, confident her wealth and status would shield her. But Lila was relentless, uncovering security footage from a neighbor's camera that caught Karen in the act. Paint can in hand, the courtroom became a battleground. Javier testified, his voice breaking as he described Sophia's nightmares, the way she'd stopped drawing since the mural was defaced. Lila presented evidence of the mural's cultural and emotional significance, arguing it was a priceless piece of heritage. Karen's defense crumbled. Her attorney tried to paint her as a victim of stress, but the judge wasn't swayed. The verdict came down like a hammer. Karen was liable for $300,000 in damages, covering emotional distress, property damage, and punitive fines. The courtroom gasped. Karen's face drained of color, her hands gripping the table as if it could anchor her collapsing world. But the story doesn't end with the gavel's fall. Here's the twist. Lila wasn't just a neighbor with a law degree. She had a deeper connection to Javier's family, one even he didn't know. Years ago, Lila had been Elena's confidant, the one who encouraged her to pursue art when her family doubted her. Lila had kept a box of Elena's sketches, including a draft of the Karen flower mural. After the trial, she gave it to Sophia, a fragile piece of her mother's legacy. That act shifted Javier's perspective, turning his grief into gratitude. Lila's quiet intervention wasn't just legal. It was a bridge to healing. Karen, meanwhile, spiraled. The fine drained her savings, forcing her to sell her beloved home. Neighbors who once tolerated her now turned away. She moved to a cramped apartment on the edge of town, her pride replaced by a hollow bitterness. She'd walk past Javier's house sometimes, now restored with a new mural brighter, bolder Karen flowers, painted by Sophia herself. Each petal was a reminder of what Karen had lost, not just in money but in humanity. The neighborhood learned from Karen's fall. Petty disputes quieted, and people began to talk more, listen more. Javier and Sophia found solace in their art, their bond strengthened by the ordeal. Lila, ever the silent guardian, watched from her porch, knowing she'd honored Elena's memory. But for Karen, the story was a tragedy of her own making. She'd sought to erase a symbol of love and ended up erasing herself. In the end, the Karen flowers bloomed again, defiant and radiant, while Karen's world withered under the weight of her choices. A single act of spite had cost her everything: her home, her reputation, her place in the world. And as Sophia's laughter echoed through Willow Creek, Karen sat alone, haunted by the question she could never answer. Was it worth it? ND.